I've always found peace in my parents' apartment. Something about the way the evening light filters through the tall windows, casting long shadows across the hardwood floors. Today, the quiet feels especially welcome after a brutal week at work. I kick off my shoes, padding barefoot across the cool floor, savoring the silence. My parents are in Europe for their anniversary, 3 months touring places they'd always dreamed of visiting. They'd asked me to house sit, which really meant watering the plants and enjoying unlimited access to their well-stocked wine collection. I pour myself a generous glass of Cabernet and sink into the plush sofa, feeling the tension in my shoulders begin to unwind. Home, sweet home, I murmur, though it hasn't been my home for years. Still, it feels more like home than my cramped studio apartment ever has. I take a sip, savoring the rich flavor, and pull out my phone to scroll through messages. Nothing urgent. I set an alarm for 30 minutes, just enough time for a power nap before I need to start dinner. The wine, the comfort of the familiar space, the exhaustion of the work week, it all pulls me under quickly. The sound of keys jangling in the lock jerks me awake. I blink, disoriented, as the front door swings open. My parents stand in the doorway, looking tanned and tired. Mom? Dad? I sit up, confused. You're not supposed to be back for another month. My mother, Olive, doesn't meet my eyes. My father, Robert, clears his throat. Delilah, he says, his voice oddly formal. We didn't expect you to be here. I'm house-sitting, remember? You asked me to. The words die in my throat as 2 men in uniforms appear behind my parents, carrying flattened cardboard boxes. What's going on? I ask, standing now, my wine glass forgotten on the coffee table. We need to pack up, my mother says, still not looking at me. The movers are here to help. Pack up? For what? My father sighs, finally stepping fully into the apartment. We've sold the place, Delilah. The new owners take possession tomorrow. The room seems to tilt beneath my feet. You sold, but you never said anything about selling. It was a quick decision, my mother says, busying herself with her purse. An opportunity we couldn't pass up. The movers hover awkwardly by the door. One of them clears his throat. Where should we start, sir? My father gestures vaguely. The bedroom first, I think. We'll need to sort through the living room ourselves. They nod and move past me like I'm not even there. I don't understand, I say, my voice sounding small and far away. Where are you going to live? We bought a place in Arizona, my father says, not quite meeting my eyes either. Smaller, more manageable, better weather for your mother's arthritis. Arizona? The word feels foreign on my tongue. But your whole life is here. Your friends, your doctors, your... Things change, Delilah, my mother cuts in, her voice sharper than I expect. We're not getting any younger. I stand there trying to process what's happening. The apartment I've always thought of as my safety net, my backup plan, my home base, gone, without warning, without discussion. When were you planning to tell me? I ask, hating how my voice trembles. My father checks his watch. We need to get moving if we're going to finish today. Delilah, you should probably gather whatever belongings you have here. Robert, my mother murmurs, touching his arm. Maybe we should... There's no time, Olive, he says firmly. The truck comes at 8 tomorrow morning. I feel like I've been slapped. So that's it. You just show up and tell me to get my stuff and go. Don't be dramatic, my father says. It's not like you live here. No, I just water your plants and feed your cat and check your mail when you're gone for months at a time, I snap. I just store half my winter clothes in the guest closet. I just have a key and an open invitation to stay whenever I want. Had, my mother corrects quietly. You had a key. The word lands like a blow. I look at her, really look at her, and see something I've never noticed before. A coldness, a calculation in her eyes that makes me wonder if I've ever really known her at all. I need to use the bathroom, I mutter, needing to escape their gaze. I lock the door behind me and grip the edge of the sink, staring at my reflection. My eyes are wide, my face pale. I splash cold water on my cheeks, trying to wake myself from what feels like a nightmare. When I emerge, the apartment is already transforming. Boxes half filled, pictures removed from walls, the familiar space becoming unfamiliar by the minute. I grab my bag, unable to bear watching anymore. "I'll get out of your way," I say stiffly. My father nods absently, already focused on wrapping a vase in newspaper. My mother at least has the decency to look uncomfortable. "We'll call you when we're settled," she offers. I don't respond. At the door, I pause, my hand on the knob. Something catches my eye, the hall closet door, slightly ajar. Through the crack, I glimpse stacks of boxes labeled in my grandmother's handwriting. The antiques collection she'd left to me in her will, which my parents had promised to store safely until I had space for them. They hadn't even remembered to pack them. I don't remember leaving the apartment building. I don't remember walking 6 blocks in a daze or stopping at the liquor store for a bottle of cheap vodka. But here I am, sitting on the floor of my studio apartment, staring at the antique boxes I somehow managed to salvage before my parents could forget them completely. My grandmother's treasures, the only person who ever made me feel like I mattered. "You're special, Delilah," she used to whisper, pressing old trinkets into my hands. "Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise." I take another swig straight from the bottle, wincing as it burns down my throat. My phone buzzes for the 5th time, Violet calling again. I finally answer. "Where have you been?" Her voice crackles with concern. "I've been trying to reach you for hours." "They sold the apartment," I say, my voice flat. "They just showed up and started packing." "What? Your parents? But they're supposed to be in Europe." "Apparently they came back early to sell everything and move to Arizona." The words taste bitter. They didn't even tell me. "Jesus, Delilah, are you okay?" I laugh, a harsh sound that surprises even me. No, I'm not okay. I'm coming over." "Don't, please." I stare at the boxes. I need to be alone right now. Silence stretches between us. Violet knows me well enough to recognize when pushing is pointless. "Call me tomorrow," she finally says. "Promise me." I promise. After hanging up, I pull the nearest box toward me. The tape is yellowed with age, the cardboard soft at the corners. I slice it open with a kitchen knife, revealing tissue-wrapped parcels nestled inside. One by one, I unwrap them. A delicate porcelain figurine of a dancer, a tarnished silver hand mirror, a small wooden box inlaid with mother of pearl. Each piece carries memories of afternoons spent with my grandmother, learning their histories, absorbing her stories. This mirror belonged to a countess, she'd told me, eyes twinkling, and this box held love letters from a sailor to his sweetheart during the war. Whether the stories were true didn't matter. What mattered was how she made me feel, like I was being entrusted with something precious, something valuable. Unlike my parents, who never thought I was worth telling about their major life decisions, the next box contains larger items: a bronze clock, a set of leather-bound books, a small oil painting of a countryside I don't recognize. I handle each piece carefully, despite my growing intoxication, arranging them on my coffee table like an impromptu museum exhibition. Near the bottom of the 3rd box, my fingers touch something cool and heavy. I pull out a small jade figurine, about the size of my palm. A dragon with ruby eyes that catch the dim light of my apartment. "This is the most valuable piece in my collection," my grandmother had whispered the day she showed it to me. "Ming Dynasty, worth more than everything else combined." I'd forgotten about it completely. I turn it over in my hands, studying the intricate carving, the perfect weight of it. A quick search on my phone confirms what I already suspected. If authentic, this piece alone could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. My grandmother had left these to me. Not to my parents, to me. And they'd hidden them away, forgotten about them, and nearly lost them in their rush to abandon their life here, to abandon me. Something cold and clear cuts through the alcohol haze. A purpose, a plan. I carefully rewrap the dragon and place it in my bedside drawer. The rest of the night passes in a blur of internet research, auction house websites, and antique dealer reviews. By morning, my head pounds with a hangover, but my mind is surprisingly focused. My phone rings. Violet checking in as promised. "I'm coming over," she says. Not a question this time. "And I'm bringing coffee." 30 minutes later, she surveys the antiques spread across my apartment, eyebrows raised. "Your grandmother left you all this?" I nod, nursing the coffee she brought. "Years ago, my parents were storing it for me." "And now you're what? Going to sell it?" "Some of it." I don't mention the Jade Dragon. Not yet. "It's mine to sell." Violet sits beside me on the couch. "Del, I get that you're hurt, but—" "Hurt?" I laugh again, that same harsh sound. "Hurt is when someone steps on your toe or forgets your birthday. This is—" I struggle to find the words. This is like they erased me, like I never mattered at all. She doesn't argue, just takes my hand and squeezes it. "They've always done this," I continue, the words pouring out now. "Made decisions without considering me. Treated me like an afterthought. But this time—" I shake my head. "This time, I'm not just going to take it." "What are you going to do?" I look at her, suddenly aware of how my next words might sound. "I'm going to make them feel what I felt. I'm going to take something from them that they thought was secure." Violet's eyes widen slightly. "Delilah, not physically," I clarify, "but they're going to know what it feels like to have the rug pulled out from under them. To be forgotten." She studies my face for a long moment. "This doesn't sound like you. Maybe it should have been me all along." I stand up, suddenly energized. Maybe I've spent too many years being the good daughter who never complains, never pushes back. My phone buzzes with the text. It's from an unknown number, but the message makes my heart skip. "Heard you're looking to sell some antiques. I might be interested. Old friend of your grandmother's. Call me." "Zane." I stare at the screen, a strange mix of surprise and something like destiny washing over me. "Who is it?" Violet asks. I look up at her, feeling the first genuine smile in days spread across my face. "It's a sign," I say. "The universe is telling me I'm on the right path." "Are you sure about this?" Violet asks, watching me adjust my blouse in the mirror. "Meeting some random guy who texted you out of nowhere?" "He's not random. He knew my grandmother." I smooth my hair, trying to look more put together than I feel. "And we're meeting in a public place." Still, something feels off. I don't tell her that something feels off to me too, but in a different way. Like stepping onto a path I can't see the end of, exhilarating and terrifying at once. "I'll be fine," I say, grabbing my purse. Inside is a small velvet pouch containing the Jade Dragon. "I'm just getting information." The cafe is busy enough to feel safe, but quiet enough for conversation. I spot him immediately, tall, with dark hair streaked with premature silver at the temples. He stands when he sees me, a half smile playing on his lips. "Delilah," he says, extending his hand. "You look just like her." His grip is firm, his eyes a startling shade of green. "Like who?" "Your grandmother, of course." He gestures for me to sit. "I'm Zayn." "How did you know my grandmother?" I ask, settling into the chair across from him. "We moved in the same circles. Antique collectors, auction enthusiasts." He shrugs. "She had an eye like no other." A waitress appears and we both order coffee. I study him while he speaks to her. His clothes are expensive but understated, his manner confident without being arrogant. "So," he says when we're alone again, "you've come into her collection." It's not a question. "Parts of it," I say carefully. "I'm considering selling some pieces." "Including the dragon?" My breath catches. "How did you—" "Like I said, I knew your grandmother. She showed me that piece once, years ago." His eyes hold mine. "It's quite valuable." "So I've heard." "May I see it?" I hesitate, then reach into my purse. The cafe is crowded. No one is paying attention to us. I pass the velvet pouch across the table. Zane's fingers brush mine as he takes it, sending an unexpected shiver up my arm. He opens the pouch carefully, tipping the dragon into his palm. His expression changes subtly as he examines it, a softening around the eyes, a slight parting of the lips. Beautiful, he murmurs, and authentic. You can tell just by looking. His eyes flick up to mine. I've been doing this a long time. He returns the dragon to its pouch and hands it back to me. I can help you sell it, for the right price to the right buyer. And what would that price be? He names a figure that makes my coffee go cold in my stomach. More than I expected. Much more. That's substantial. It's fair, maybe even a bit low. He leans forward. But I'm curious, Delilah. Why now? Your grandmother left you these pieces years ago, didn't she? The question catches me off guard. How did you know that? She told me, before she died. He studies me. She was worried your parents might try to interfere. A cold feeling spreads through my chest. What do you mean? They never approved of her collection. Thought she spent too much money on useless trinkets. His mouth twists. They tried to get her to sell several times. This is news to me. My parents had always seemed indifferent to my grandmother's collection, not hostile. Why are you telling me this? Because I think you should know who you're dealing with. He takes a sip of his coffee. Your grandmother trusted me. She knew I would treat her collection with respect. Something in his tone makes me uneasy. And my parents wouldn't? Let's just say they had different priorities. I think about the boxes, forgotten in a closet, about the apartment, sold without a word to me. I need to think about this, I say finally. Of course. He slides a business card across the table. Take your time, but not too much time. The market fluctuates. Outside, the afternoon sun feels too bright. I check my phone. 3 missed calls from my mother. I ignore them and call Violet instead. How was it? She asks immediately. Strange, I admit. He knew things about my family, about my grandmother. That's creepy, maybe. Or maybe he's exactly who he says he is. I pause at a crosswalk. He offered a lot of money for the dragon. How much? I tell her. She whistles low. What would you do with that kind of money? The question stops me short. I hadn't thought that far ahead. Revenge had been my only goal, selling what my parents had forgotten, what they'd tried to keep from me. But with that kind of money... I don't know, I say honestly, but it would change things. My phone buzzes with a text. My mother again. Delilah, please call us. It's important. I ignore it. I think I'm going to do it, I tell Violet. Sell the dragon. Maybe more pieces. Are you sure that's what this is about? Selling antiques? I close my eyes briefly. No. It's about making them realize they can't just throw me away. When I get home, there's an email waiting for me. From my father, which is unusual. He hates digital communication. Delilah, your mother and I need your help. The move has been more complicated than we anticipated. There are some financial matters that require immediate attention. Please call us as soon as possible. Dad. Financial matters. My father, who has never discussed money with me, suddenly needs my help. My phone rings again. My mother. This time I answer. Delilah, thank goodness, she says, her voice tight with what sounds like genuine distress. We've been trying to reach you. I've been busy, I say coldly. Honey, we need to talk to you. It's important. More important than telling me you were selling the apartment, moving across the country. She sighs. We deserve that. But please, this is serious. Your father and I, we're in trouble. Something in her voice makes me pause. What kind of trouble? The kind we can't discuss over the phone. She hesitates. We need your signature on some documents, and we need to ask a favor. I think of Zane's words about my parents' priorities, about the money the dragon could bring, about years of feeling secondary, forgotten. I'll think about it, I say finally, and hang up. My phone lights up immediately with a text from Zane. Have you decided? I stare at the message, feeling caught between two forces pulling me in opposite directions. The path ahead suddenly seems much less clear than it did this morning. I agree to meet my parents at a diner halfway between my apartment and their hotel. Neutral territory. I arrive early, ordering coffee I don't touch, watching the door with my heart hammering against my ribs. They look smaller somehow when they walk in. My father's shoulders are hunched, my mother's smile strained as they spot me. They slide into the booth across from me, and for a moment none of us speak. "You look tired," my mother finally says. "I haven't been sleeping well." I don't add that it's because of them. My father clears his throat. "Thank you for meeting us, Delilah. You said it was important." They exchange glances. My father nods slightly, and my mother reaches into her purse, pulling out a manila envelope. "We need you to sign these," she says, sliding it across the table. "It's for the Arizona property." I don't touch it. "What about it?" My father sighs. "The truth is, we're not in great financial shape. The European trip," he trails off. "You spent too much," I finish for him. "That, and some investments that didn't pan out." He rubs his forehead. "We had to sell the apartment quickly, below market value. And now you need my help." The irony isn't lost on me. With what exactly? The new place is under contract, but there's an issue with the financing. My mother taps the envelope. "We need a co-signer, someone with good credit." I stare at them, incredulous. "You want me to co-sign your mortgage? After you sold our family home without even telling me?" "It wasn't your home, Delilah," my father says, an edge creeping into his voice. "You haven't lived there in years. It was the only stable thing in my life." The words burst out louder than I intended. A few heads turn our way. I lower my voice. "You knew what that apartment meant to me." "We didn't have a choice," my mother insists. "Robert's pension isn't what we expected, and my healthcare costs. You had a choice about whether to tell me." I cut in. "You chose not to." Silence falls. A waitress approaches, senses the tension, and veers away. "You're right," my father says finally, surprising me. "We should have told you. We were embarrassed." Embarrassed? To admit we'd failed. He looks older than I've ever seen him. To admit we needed help. Something twists in my chest. A flicker of sympathy I quickly extinguish. "So instead, you just cut me out completely." "We were going to call you once we were settled," my mother says, reaching for my hand. I pull it away. "We just needed some time to figure things out." I think of the jade dragon sitting in my apartment, of Zane's offer, of the other antiques, still waiting to be valued. "What happens if I don't sign?" My father's face hardens. "We lose the deposit. We have nowhere to live." "You could stay with me," I say, though my studio barely fits my own things. "Don't be ridiculous," he snaps. "We're asking for a signature, not charity." The old familiar sting. My suggestion's never good enough, my help never the right kind. "I need time to think about it," I say, standing up. "I'll let you know." "Delilah, please," my mother calls as I walk away. I don't look back. Outside, I call Zain. "I want to sell the dragon," I say when he answers, "and I want to do it quickly." "Come to my office tomorrow," he replies, sounding pleased. "I have a buyer lined up." I hang up and text Violet. "Need to talk. Coming over." She opens her door with a glass of wine already poured for me. One look at my face and she pulls me into a hug. "That bad? Worse?" I sink onto her couch. "They want me to co-sign their mortgage. They're broke." She sits beside me. "And you said?" "That I'd think about it." I take a long sip of wine. "But I'm selling the dragon tomorrow." Violet studies me. "To help them?" The question catches me off guard. "No, for me." "Are you sure? Because it sounds like you're still making decisions based on them." "What's that supposed to mean?" "Just that selling a family heirloom out of spite isn't exactly moving on." She says it gently, but it still stings. "It's not spite," I argue. "It's justice." Is it, or is it just another way of staying connected to them? I stand up, suddenly restless. You don't understand. I understand that they hurt you. Badly. She follows me to the window. But I'm worried about what this revenge plan is doing to you. It's giving me power, I say. For once in my life, I'm not just taking whatever they dish out. There's a difference between standing up for yourself and becoming someone you're not. I turn to face her. Maybe I'm finally becoming who I should have been all along. She doesn't respond, just looks at me with concern in her eyes. I should go, I say, setting down my barely touched wine. I have things to prepare for tomorrow. Delilah. I'll call you after, I promise, already heading for the door. Back in my apartment, I take out the dragon, turning it over in my hands. My grandmother's voice echoes in my memory. This is special, Delilah. Like you. My phone buzzes with a text from my mother. Please call us tomorrow. We need an answer soon. I set the phone down without responding and carefully wrap the dragon. As I do, I notice something I hadn't seen before. Tiny characters etched into the base. Chinese, maybe? I take a photo and run it through a translation app. The result makes my breath catch. Family endures through storm and silence. Was this my grandmother's message to me, or just a coincidence? Either way, it's too late to reconsider. I've made my choice. Tomorrow the dragon goes to its new owner, and I take my first real step toward independence, or revenge. I'm no longer sure which. My phone rings again. It's Zane. Change of plans, he says without preamble. My buyer wants to meet tonight. Can you be ready in an hour? I look at the wrapped dragon, at the text from my mother still glowing on my phone screen. Yes, I say firmly. I'm ready now. Zane's office is in a converted warehouse downtown. All exposed brick and steel beams. It's after hours, and the building is eerily quiet as he leads me through a maze of hallways. My buyer is very private, he explains, his hand resting lightly on my lower back. He prefers discretion. Something about his touch makes me uneasy, but I push the feeling aside. I'm here for one reason, to sell the dragon and take control of my life. The conference room is dimly lit, dominated by a long table where a man sits with his back to us. He turns as we enter, older, with silver hair and wire-rimmed glasses. Ah, the granddaughter, he says, standing. His accent is faintly European. I'm Victor. He doesn't offer his hand, just gestures for me to sit. I place my bag on the table, suddenly hesitant. The dragon, Zane prompts. I reach into my bag and unwrap the jade figure, placing it on the table between us. Victor picks it up without asking, turning it over in his hands. His expression gives nothing away. Authentic, he confirms after a long examination, though I believe there is damage to the base. There's no damage, I say automatically. I checked it carefully. Victor raises an eyebrow, then hands me the dragon. Look again. I turn it over, and my heart sinks. A hairline crack runs along the bottom edge, barely visible but definitely there. It wasn't there this morning. I don't understand, I murmur. It was perfect when I wrapped it. These things happen, Zane says smoothly. Fortunately, Victor is still interested. At a reduced price, of course, Victor adds. They name a figure, half of what Zane originally quoted. My stomach drops. That's not what we discussed, I protest. The market value changes with the condition, Zane explains, not quite meeting my eyes. This is still a very generous offer. Something feels wrong. The crack, the reduced price, the late-night meeting, it all smells of manipulation. But I need the money. And more than that, I need this to be over. Fine, I say finally. I accept. Victor nods, reaches into his jacket and pulls out an envelope. Cash, as requested. I didn't request cash. I look at Zane, who smiles reassuringly. Easier this way, he says. No paper trail. I take the envelope, count the money quickly. It's all there. We'll need you to sign this, Victor says, sliding a document across the table. A bill of sale, confirming the transaction. I scan it quickly. Standard language, Nothing suspicious. I sign. Pleasure doing business, Victor says, carefully placing the dragon in a padded case. He nods to Zane and leaves without another word. Alone with Zane, I feel a strange emptiness. It's done. The dragon is gone. Drink to celebrate, Zane offers, producing a bottle of whiskey from a cabinet. I shake my head. I should go. At least let me drive you home. It's late, and that's a lot of cash to be carrying. I hesitate, then nod. The money feels heavy in my bag. In his car, a sleek, expensive model that smells of leather, Zine is quiet. Then, your grandmother would be proud. For selling her prized possession? For taking control? He glances at me. She always said you had more spine than your parents gave you credit for. You talked about me. She worried about you, said your parents had a way of making you doubt yourself. The accuracy of this observation is unsettling. She never told me that. There's a lot she didn't tell you. He pauses at a red light, like how your father tried to contest her will. My head snaps toward him. What? After she died, he filed paperwork claiming she wasn't of sound mind when she left her collection to you. The light changes, and he accelerates smoothly. It didn't work, obviously. That's not possible. He would have told me. Would he? Zane's voice is gentle. Think about it, Delilah. They hid her collection in a closet for years. They sold their apartment without telling you. They've made a habit of keeping you in the dark. My mind races. Could it be true? It would explain so much. Their dismissiveness about the antiques, their reluctance to let me see them. I don't know what to believe anymore, I admit. Believe what you see, not what they tell you. He pulls up to my building. There's more to this story than you know. I clutch my bag, suddenly eager to be alone. Thank you for the ride. Think about what I said. He hands me a card, different from the one he gave me before. And call this number if you decide you want to know more. It's my personal line. Inside my apartment, I count the money again, spreading it across my bed. Less than I'd hoped for, but still substantial, enough to make a difference. My phone buzzes, a text from my mother. We need your answer tomorrow. Please, Delilah. I ignore it and call Violet instead. It's done. I tell her when she answers. I sold it. How do you feel? I don't know. I stare at the money. Empty, maybe. Did it help? With the anger? Not really. I sigh. And now I have all this cash and no idea what to do with it. You could help your parents, she suggests carefully. After what they did, no way. What exactly did they do, Del? Sell their own apartment? Make bad financial decisions? It's not like they stole from you. Zine's words echo in my head. Actually, they might have. I tell her what he said about my father contesting the will, about hiding the collection from me. And you believe this guy you barely know over your own family? She asks when I finish. I don't know who to believe anymore. There's a knock at my door. I freeze. Someone's here, I whisper to Violet. It's almost midnight. Don't answer it, she says immediately. Another knock, more insistent. Delilah? A woman's voice. It's Yara, your aunt. My Aunt Yara. I haven't seen her in years. I'll call you back, I tell Violet and hang up. I approach the door cautiously. Aunt Yara. Please open up, it's important. I peer through the peephole. It's her, my mother's sister, looking tired and worried. I open the door. What are you doing here? We need to talk. Her eyes are serious. About Zane Hunt, and what he's really after. I let Yara in, watching as she surveys my small apartment with quick, assessing eyes. She looks older than I remember. Her dark hair now streaked with grey, fine lines around her eyes that weren't there before. How did you find me? I ask, suddenly aware of the money still spread across my bed, visible through the open bedroom door. Your mother called me. She moves toward the couch without waiting for an invitation. She's worried about you. My mother hasn't worried about me in years, I say, quickly gathering the cash and shoving it into a drawer before joining her. Yara sighs. That's not true, But we don't have time to unpack your family drama right now. She leans forward. Tell me about Zane Hunt. Something in her tone makes me hesitate. Why? Because he's dangerous, Delilah. And if you've gotten involved with him, you're in trouble. I laugh, though nothing feels funny. Dangerous? He's an antique dealer. He's a con man who targets vulnerable people with valuable collections. Her eyes are intense. He approached your grandmother, too, years ago, tried to convince her that her children were planning to steal her antiques. My heart beats faster. And were they? Of course not. She looks exasperated. Your mother and father may be many things, but they're not thieves. Then why did Dad try to contest Grandma's will? The question bursts out before I can stop it. Yara's expression shifts to surprise, then understanding. He told you that, didn't he? Zayn? I nod. It's a lie. Your father never contested anything. He was the one who insisted her wishes be followed exactly. She shakes her head. This is what Zayn does. He finds family friction and exploits it. But how would he even know about our situation, about the apartment? Because he's been watching, waiting for an opportunity. She reaches for my hand. Your grandmother rejected him, so he's been biding his time, knowing the collection would eventually pass to you. My mind races, trying to reconcile this with everything Zayn told me. He knew things, personal things about our family. He's done his research. People like him always do. She glances toward my bedroom. You've already sold something to him, haven't you? I nod slowly. The Jade Dragon. Yara closes her eyes briefly. How much did he pay you? I tell her. She laughs bitterly. That piece was worth 3 times that amount, at least. The room seems to tilt. He said there was damage. Let me guess. Damage that wasn't there when you first showed it to him. The implication hits me like a physical blow. You think he damaged it deliberately? I know he did. It's part of his playbook. She stands up, pacing. Did you sign anything? Just a bill of sale. We need to see exactly what you signed. Do you have a copy? I shake my head, feeling sick. What's going on, Yara? What does he really want? She stops pacing, her expression grave. Your entire collection, and possibly your parents' remaining assets. My parents don't have any assets left. They're broke. They're not broke, Delilah. They're cash poor at the moment because they've invested everything in a property development in Arizona. She sits back down. A development that's about to be approved, which will triple their investment. I stare at her. But they said that they needed you to co-sign a mortgage. That was true. Their liquid assets are tied up in the development. She sighs. They should have explained better, but they were embarrassed about needing help, even temporarily. My head spins with this new information. So, when Zayn said, he was manipulating you, using your hurt feelings to turn you against your family. Her voice softens. I'm not saying your parents handled things well. They didn't. But they're not the villain Zayn made them out to be. I stand up abruptly, needing to move. I don't understand. What does any of this have to do with my grandmother's collection? The collection is valuable, yes, but what Zayn really wants is access to your family's finances. She follows me to the window. The bill of sale you signed, I'm betting it contained language giving him rights to other pieces, maybe even authorizing him to act as your agent. Cold fear washes over me. I didn't read it carefully enough. Few people do. She puts a hand on my shoulder. We need to contact your parents immediately. If Zayn thinks you're on to him, there's no telling what he might do next. I pull away. I can't face them, not after what I've done. What you've done is fall for a con man's tricks. It happens to smart people all the time. Her voice is firm but kind. But right now, your family needs to present a united front. My phone buzzes, a text from Zayn. Have you thought about what I said? I have buyers interested in the rest of your collection, time-sensitive. I show it to Yara, whose expression darkens. He's accelerating his timeline. He must suspect something. She takes out her own phone. I'm calling your mother. Wait. I grab her wrist. I need to do this myself. She studies me, then nods. Okay, but do it now. My fingers hover over my mother's contact. Pride and hurt battle with fear and a growing sense of urgency. Another text from Zane appears. Also found some interesting documents regarding your parents' Arizona investment. We should talk. My blood runs cold. How could he know about that? He's going after their development deal, I say, showing Yara the message. Her face pales. Call them, now. This time I don't hesitate. The phone rings 3 times before my mother answers, her voice thick with sleep. Delilah? Is everything okay? No, I say, my voice steadier than I feel. We have a problem, a big one. What kind of problem? I take a deep breath. I think I've made a terrible mistake, and now someone's targeting all of us. There's a pause, then my mother says, We'll be at your apartment in 20 minutes. After I hang up, Yara squeezes my hand. You're doing the right thing, am I? I look at her, suddenly overwhelmed, because it feels like I've destroyed everything. Not everything, she says firmly. Not yet. My phone buzzes again. Not Zane this time, but Violet. Just got a weird call from someone asking about your grandmother's collection. Said they were from an insurance company, but wouldn't give a name. Be careful. I show Yara, who nods grimly. It's starting, she says. He's making his move. My parents arrive, looking like they've aged years and days. My father's face is drawn, my mother's eyes shadowed with exhaustion. The sight of them, vulnerable, worried, hits me harder than I expect. Yara, my mother says, embracing her sister, thank you for calling. Don't thank me yet, Yara replies. We still have a situation to handle. My father turns to me, hesitating before speaking. Delilah, Later, I cut him off. We need to focus on Zane first. We gather around my small kitchen table, where I lay out everything. The sale of the dragon, the document I signed, Zane's messages, what Yara told me about his true intentions. I should have seen it, I finish, unable to meet their eyes. I was so angry at you both that I walked right into his trap. We gave you reason to be angry, my mother says quietly. We handled everything badly. My father nods, his usual defensiveness absent. We were ashamed of our financial situation, too proud to admit we needed help. And too thoughtless to consider what selling the apartment would mean to you, my mother adds. Their admission loosens something tight in my chest, but there's no time to process it. What exactly did you sign? My father asks. All business now. I try to remember the document's wording. It was a standard bill of sale, but there was language about him representing my interest for future sales. Future sales of what? My father presses. Just the antiques, or any assets. The realization hits me. It didn't specify. That's how he works, Yara explains. Vague language that can be interpreted broadly. My father stands abruptly. We need a lawyer, now. At 1 a.m, my mother asks. I know someone who'll take my call. He steps away to make the call. My phone buzzes with another text from Zane. Meeting tomorrow 9 a.m, bringing potential buyers for the entire collection. Big opportunity. I show it to Yara and my mother. He's moving fast, Yara says. Too fast. What does he know that we don't? My mother wonders. My father returns, his expression grim. The development approval is being announced tomorrow morning. Somehow he knows. How could he possibly? I begin. Doesn't matter, my father interrupts. What matters is stopping him before he can claim to represent our interests. The lawyer, my mother asks, meeting us at his office at 7. He looks at me. We need everything you have on Zane, and we need to get back the original document you signed. It's at his office, I say, the converted warehouse downtown. Then that's where we're going, my father says. Tonight. Breaking and entering, my mother asks, alarmed. Retrieving stolen property, he corrects. That document was obtained through fraud. I stare at him, seeing a side of my father I've never witnessed. Determined, almost fierce. You can't be serious. Deadly serious. His eyes meet mine. No one messes with my family. An hour later, we're parked a block from Zane's office building. My father has somehow procured a security uniform and badge. The lawyer will meet us afterward with restraining order paperwork ready to file, he explains. But first, we need that document. This is insane, I whisper. What if we get caught? We won't. He sounds confident. The night guard is an old friend. He'll look the other way for 15 minutes. Enough time for you to get in and out. Me? My voice rises. Why me? Because you've been there. You know which office is his. He hands me a small flashlight. And because you're the only one, he won't immediately call the police on if something goes wrong. He's right, and we all know it. Still, my hands shake as I take the flashlight. What about security cameras? I ask. Handled, my father says simply. I don't ask how. Some things are better not knowing. The night guard nods to my father as we approach, then deliberately turns away, focusing on a monitor that shows a different part of the building. 15 minutes, my father murmurs. Go. The hallways are dimly lit, emergency lights casting long shadows. My footsteps echo despite my attempt to move quietly. I find Zane's office easily. Corner unit, name on the door. Locked, of course. I pull out the credit card Yara gave me, remembering her quick tutorial on lockpicking. It takes 3 tries, but finally, the door clicks open. Inside, I switch on the flashlight, keeping the beam low. His desk is immaculate, files neatly arranged. I start opening drawers, searching for the document. Nothing. I move to the filing cabinet. Locked. I try the credit card trick again, but it's a different type of lock. The minutes tick by. Sweat beads on my forehead as I scan the room, looking for anywhere else he might keep important papers. Then I spot it, a safe built into the wall behind a generic landscape painting. Of course. I'm about to give up when I notice a folder on top of the cabinet labeled Hudson Project. My last name. I grab it, flipping it open. Inside are copies of documents, including the one I signed. But there's more. Printouts of emails between my parents and their development partners, financial projections, even a copy of their investment agreement. How did he get these? No time to wonder. I take photos of everything with my phone, then carefully replace the folder. Just as I'm about to leave, I notice something else. A small jade piece on his desk that looks eerily familiar. The dragon. My dragon. But not damaged anymore. I grab it, fury rising in my throat. The crack was fake, probably created with some kind of removable substance. Footsteps in the hallway freeze me in place. The door handle turns. I dive behind the desk just as the door opens. Light floods the room. I know you're in here, Delilah. Zane's voice, calm and almost amused. Did you really think I wouldn't have my own security system? He steps further into the room. Come out, we need to talk. I stand slowly, the dragon clutched in my hand, my phone with the incriminating photos in my pocket. You lied to me, I say, my voice steadier than I feel. About everything. He smiles, not denying it. Business is business, nothing personal. It feels pretty personal from where I'm standing. He notices the dragon in my hand. Ah, found that, did you? An unfortunate misunderstanding about its condition. Misunderstanding? I laugh bitterly. You created a fake crack to cheat me. I prefer to think of it as negotiation. He takes a step closer. The question is, what are you going to do now? Before I can answer, the office door bursts open again. My father stands there, security badge displayed. She's going to walk out of here, he says firmly. With me. Zane's smile doesn't falter as he looks between my father and me. Robert, what an unexpected pleasure. Step away from my daughter, my father says, his voice low and dangerous. Your daughter broke into my office. Zane counters smoothly. I could have her arrested. And I could have you investigated for fraud. My father steps further into the room. Which would you prefer? I clutch the dragon tighter, its edges digging into my palm. He has documents about your development deal, I tell my father, Private emails, financial projections, everything. Zane's expression flickers for the first time. Insurance, in case things went sideways. How did you get them? My father demands. You'd be surprised how careless people are with their passwords. Zane shrugs, especially when they use the same one for everything, like your wife's maiden name and your anniversary. My father's face darkens. You hacked our accounts. Such an ugly word. Zane turns to me. Delilah, be reasonable. You came to me, remember. I simply saw an opportunity. To manipulate me, I say. To turn me against my family. I merely provided information. You drew your own conclusions. His voice softens. We can still work together. That collection is worth a fortune with the right buyer. For a moment I see it, the temptation he's offering. Money, independence, power, everything I thought I wanted. No, I say firmly, we're done. Think carefully, he warns. That document you signed gives me certain rights. Walking away won't be simple. The document I signed under false pretenses. I pull out my phone, showing him the photos I took. The one where you misrepresented the value of my property, where you created fake damage to lower the price. His eyes narrow. Allegations, unprovable. Not with this. I hold up the dragon. The crack is gone. Funny how that works. And not with these, my father adds, holding up his own phone. Security footage from this office showing you damaging the piece before Delilah arrived for your meeting. Zane's composure cracks. Impossible. My security system has an external backup that transmits to the building's main server, my father finishes. A server my company installed 10 years ago. I stare at my father, seeing him clearly for perhaps the first time. Not just the distant, disapproving parent I've always resented, but a man with skills and connections I never bothered to understand. Here's what's going to happen, my father continues. You're going to return the money you paid my daughter. You're going to sign a statement acknowledging that your contract with her was obtained fraudulently, and you're going to delete every document you stole from our accounts. Or what? Zane challenges, though his confidence is visibly shaken. Or we press charges, I say, for fraud, theft, computer crimes, all of it. It would be your word against mine. It would be our evidence against your denials, my father corrects, and I don't think your other clients would appreciate learning about your methods. Zane is silent, calculating. I can almost see him running through scenarios, looking for an escape route. You have until morning to decide, my father says. Our lawyer will contact you at 9. He gestures for me to precede him out the door. I move past Zane, still clutching the dragon. Keep it, Zane says suddenly. Consider it a parting gift. I don't want your gifts, I reply, placing the dragon deliberately on his desk. I just want you out of my life. Outside, my mother and Yara are waiting anxiously in the car. As we approach, I see the relief wash over my mother's face. Did you get it? She asks. My father nods. And more. We have everything we need. The drive back to my apartment is quiet, each of us lost in thought. It's only when we're inside, the door locked behind us, that the adrenaline finally drains away, leaving me shaky and exhausted. I'm sorry, I say, the words inadequate but necessary. For believing him, for not trusting you. My mother takes my hand. We gave you reason to doubt us. That doesn't excuse what I almost did. What did you almost do? My father asks quietly. I look at him, deciding on honesty. I was going to use the money from the antiques to hurt you somehow, to make you feel as abandoned as I felt. He nods slowly. I understand that impulse better than you might think. You do? Why do you think I've worked so hard all these years? He asks. My father walked out when I was 12, left us with nothing. Everything I've done since has been to ensure security, to never be that vulnerable again. This revelation stuns me. My father has never spoken about his childhood. We should have told you about selling the apartment, my mother adds. About our financial situation. We were trying to protect you, but we ended up pushing you away instead. And I let my hurt feelings make me vulnerable to someone like Zane, I admit. We all made mistakes, Yara says, speaking for the first time since we returned. The question is, what happens now? My father clears his throat. The offer still stands, Delilah. We need a co-signer for the mortgage, but only if you want to help. I look at them, really look at them. My imperfect, proud, loving parents who made mistakes, but came running when I needed them. Who fought for me tonight without hesitation. I'll sign, I say, on one condition. Name it, my father says. No more secrets. We talk about things, the hard things, the embarrassing things, all of it. My mother smiles, tears in her eyes. Deal. And one more thing, I add. I want to be part of the development project, not just as a signature on a loan, but as a partner. My father looks surprised, then thoughtful. You want to work with us? I want to build something, I say, instead of tearing things down. He nods slowly. We can make that happen. Morning light begins to filter through my windows as we finalize our plans. The lawyer will meet with Zane. The documents will be signed. The development will move forward, with me as part of it. As my parents prepare to leave, my mother pauses at the door. Your grandmother would be proud of you, she says softly. Not for the antiques or the money, but for finding your voice. After they're gone, I sit alone in my apartment, surrounded by the remaining pieces of my grandmother's collection. Each one tells a story, not just of its origin, but of her life, her choices, her legacy. I pick up a small music box, opening it to hear the familiar melody. Inside, tucked beneath the mechanism, is a note I've never noticed before. In my grandmother's handwriting, the true inheritance is not in these objects, but in the strength to forge your own path while remembering where you came from. I close the box, the music fading slowly into silence. For the first time in years, I feel neither adrift nor anchored to the past, but balanced perfectly between what was and what could be.